Multiple earthquakes strike off Hualien, spark concerns over seismic activity. Baishatun Matsu pilgrimage hesitates, chooses Ershui over Zhushan. Taiwan dollar surges, central bank steps in to stabilize. Australia's prime minister wins second term. Japan and China accuse each other of violating airspace. Trump renews threat of military force to annex Greenland. Thousands gather in 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. World's oldest person dies at 116.
Hello everyone, I'm Oceana. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Tuesday, May 6th, World Asthma Day, and here are our top stories. In local news, a series of earthquakes struck off Hualien on May 5th, with the largest reaching magnitude 5.9. Shallow depth caused strong shaking across Taiwan, sparking public concern over a possible return of a seismic cycle. The largest tremor reached a level 3 intensity in Zhanghua, and several aftershocks were reported. Local residents expressed anxiety, fearing a larger quake may follow. The Matsu pilgrimage from Baishatun entered its fifth day on May 5th. At a crucial junction, the procession hesitated for a long time, unsure whether to visit Nantou's Zhushan or Zhanghua's Ershui. After a brief pause and a U-turn, Matsu chose Ershui and arrived at 9:55 a.m. The procession has been ongoing for 200 years, never before visiting Nantou. The Taiwan dollar surged to 29.988 against the US dollar on May 6th, prompting a response from Central Bank Governor Yang Jinglong. He warned that the unusual market behavior fueled by excessive speculation must stop. The central bank will gradually intensify its intervention to stabilize the currency. And in global news, local broadcasters projected that Australia's incumbent Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has won a second term in a close general election on Saturday, in a defeat for the Conservative coalition that was undermined at the ballot box by its association with President Donald Trump. The Labour Party pulled ahead of the Conservative Liberal National Coalition, led by Peter Dutton, with early projections from the Australian Electoral Commission suggesting at least 70 of the 150 House seats for Labour.
My fellow Australians, serving as your Prime Minister is the greatest honour of my life.
Independent candidates and minor parties are projected to take about 13 seats in Parliament, which means Albanese may have to form a coalition if the final count shows that his party ultimately falls short of a parliamentary majority. Concerns among Australians over the soaring cost of living and the lack of affordable housing dominated the election, at a time when interest rates remain high. Geopolitical relations with China, Australia's largest trading partner, were also top of mind for voters. However, in this election, voters were more concerned by Trump's shake-up of the global order with a new trade regime that imposed a 10% tariff on all Australian exports to the U.S.
Japan and China are accusing each other of violating the airspace around Japanese-controlled East China Sea islands that Beijing also claims. Japan's foreign ministry issued a statement saying that it had protested to Beijing after a Chinese helicopter, which took off from one of China's 4 Coast Guard vessels, entered Japan's territorial waters around the Senkaku Islands, violating Japanese airspace for about 15 minutes on Saturday. In response to the airspace intrusion, Japan's self-defense forces scrambled fighter jets.
China routinely sends Coast Guard vessels and aircraft into the waters and airspace surrounding the islands, which China calls the Diaoyu, to harass Japanese vessels in the area and force Japan to scramble jets in response. The Japanese Foreign Ministry said it lodged a very severe protest through the Chinese embassy in Japan, claiming that China Coast Guard actions infringed on Japan's sovereignty and urging the Chinese government to implement preventive measures. China also lodged a similar protest with Japan over a Japanese civilian aircraft allegedly violating its airspace around the islands, saying it was strongly dissatisfied with the Japanese violation of China's sovereignty.
President Donald Trump has renewed his threat of using military force to annex Greenland, saying in an interview that he wouldn't rule it out to make the self-governing Danish territory a part of the United States. It's the latest in Trump's many comments about seizing control of the resource-rich island, which he insists the U.S. needs for national security purposes. He said, "I don't say I'm going to do it, but I don't rule out anything." He added that he doubted it would happen, but the possibility is certainly there.
Trump has repeatedly expressed interest in buying the island, or having the U.S. take it by force or through economic coercion, even as NATO ally Denmark and Greenland have firmly rejected the idea. Several factors drive that interest. Greenland occupies a unique geopolitical position between the U.S. and Europe, which could help repel a potential attack from Russia. It also lies along a key shipping lane and is part of the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom Gap, a strategic maritime region. Experts also believe Trump is eyeing Greenland's natural resources, which may become more accessible as climate change melts its ice. These include oil and gas, as well as rare earth metals in high demand for electric cars, wind turbines, and military equipment.
Thousands of people lined the roads around London's Houses of Parliament and Buckingham Palace on Monday, as British and Allied troops paraded past at the start of 4 days of pageantry to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. After Big Ben tolled at the stroke of noon, actor Timothy Spall recited the victory speech that Winston Churchill delivered to a roaring crowd in central London on May 8, 1945. Britain began its commemorations of VE Day 3 days early because Monday is a public holiday in the UK.
The cenotaph, the nation's war memorial, was covered with Union Jack flags. It was the first time the memorial had been draped in the flags since it was unveiled by King George V in 1920, 2 years after the end of World War I. About 1,300 members of the British Armed Forces were joined by troops from the United Kingdom's NATO allies and Ukraine, a nod to the present war in Europe. The procession started in Parliament Square and swept past Buckingham Palace, where King Charles III took the salute. Germany finally surrendered on May 8, now known as Victory in Europe Day. Liberation Day in the Netherlands is celebrated on May 5, a day after the country observes 2 minutes of silence to honor its war dead.
The world's oldest person, Sister Ina Canabaro Lucas, has died at age 116, her order confirmed on Wednesday. According to Guinness World Records, the soccer-loving Brazilian nun officially became the oldest person in the world in January, following the death of Japan's Tomiko Itooka. When Canabaro was born on June 8, 1908, Theodore Roosevelt was still President of the United States, penicillin had not yet been discovered, and movies were still silent.
There is some dispute about her exact birth date, as Kleber Canabaro, her 84-year-old nephew, told the Associated Press that her birth was registered 2 weeks late and that she was actually born on May 27. Canabaro added that she was so skinny growing up that many doubted she would survive to adulthood, let alone become a centenarian. She took up religious work as a teenager and always maintained that her Catholic faith was the secret to her incredibly long life. According to Longeva Quest, a database that tracks the lives of supercentenarians, she once said, "God is the secret of life. He is the secret of everything." On her 110th birthday, she received a blessing from Pope Francis.
The answer for yesterday was A, crawled. The traffic was so bad that we crawled along the road for hours. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. Thousands gather in 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. Number 1. Allied. 联盟的,盟国的. The Allied forces marched together toward the enemy's stronghold. Number 2. Procession. 队伍,行列. The procession moved slowly through the city with people lining the streets. Number 3. Surrendered. 投降. The enemy forces surrendered after days of intense battle. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section and the correct answer will be announced tomorrow. World Asthma Day was initially established in 1998 by the Global Initiative for Asthma. The day was created to promote awareness of asthma as a condition that is increasing. In fact, it affects at least 14% of children worldwide and seems to be growing in prevalence. By 2016, the WHO recognized asthma as a major public health importance. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm your host, Oceana, and I'll see you next time.